Hi guys, Matt Lemke here with your Gamer Goggles, and today we have a flip through for you on Masters and Minions, a 5th ed supplement for Dungeons and Dragons. From So Masters and Minions is done by JetPack 7, and it is an amazing, has an amazing set of art. You know, you open it up, I mean, this kind of tells you what you should expect for the art, if you couldn't get that from the cover. Which, by the way, the cover, it's kind of a dull matte finish. Not like the Volo's guide. Was it Volo's guide? One of them was black, and it marred real easy. I don't think you're going to have that problem with this. And the font up here, it has a different texture. It almost feels like it's a sticker, but I can't seem to find any edge that would make it peel off like it is actually a sticker. It just has that nice feeling, so the letters are just so high gloss that it feels that way. And then inside, this book is dedicated to Game Masters, and that is an actually really good thing, because this more than the last book, in my opinion, is a true supplement for Dungeons and Dragons. The other book, I think players could have used this. I don't think they could use this book nearly as much. And the other book I'm referring to is Gods and Goddesses from JetPack 7. And then we have table of contents, the list of backers that backed the project, and then we have the foreword, and then we have how to use this book. And we're going to zoom in real quick on how to use this book, because it's interesting. So they say game balance is a myth. The Game Master's job is not to create encounters that flow by the numbers and end in XP. That's fair. And anymore, I think GMs need a little bit more help with creating it the way they're saying it needs to be created, because it's easy to tip the scales in the favor of players. And then the very last part is what you need to know about using this book is it can't do everything. It's not going to be a answer to all your problems, but they do give you some tools, and as we turn the page we're going to see that. So the very first thing we see is the Dryad. Well, and I'm not going to go into depth with the Dryad because she's not my favorite. So you have a lore section, the suggested level of the party, encounters, initial attitude, encounter conditions, tactics, scaling, and then after you turn the pin-up, or the art, the picture of the particular creature or master, you have the master's stats, and then you have the master's minions. And in some cases this goes on, there's more minions. So we have Thalin the Forest Master, which is this guy. And then we have his little guys, his minions. Then we have the child, which the child's a pretty neat little story. It's about a child who became king, or the ruler of the country, and the crown only can be worn by the bloodline. But one of the aides suspects that the crown is cursed, and that's how the story gets presented to your players. And then, of course, you can take a real quick look at her stats. We have Umog, the Cave Master, which he's an ugly looking dude. We have Etain, the Ringleader. We have Ishmael, the Slaver. This is a neat one, but it's not the one that I have chosen to use to go through the stats. And we have the cover art for Grawl, the Tinkerer, which they clearly like since they made her the cover. And I can see why. And this one's a lot of fun too, but still not, in my opinion, one of the... I'm going with the Created, which the Created is one of the easiest ones to work into any of your stories. And you can probably do it multiple times. So here is their rendition of the Created. You don't have to use that picture. You can use any picture you want, because the lore behind the Created is that somehow, some way, a PC effectively wronged a town, hurt somebody, maimed them, something bad happened to somebody, and they have a score to settle. And that day is here. So the next thing you see is the suggested PC levels. So You go in. This is for characters of up to 11th level, so 3 to 5 players, right? And then the encounter, the creator finds the PCs at their weakest point. Maybe they're camped after a horrible fight or something else. Maybe they're separated. If I mean, that'd be a way you can incorporate a slightly higher party. Is you could have the party separated, and then instead of going for 4 people, it's 2. This would be a great adventure to run, or a little one-shot to run when not everybody has shown up for the night with a slightly higher level party. And then the initial attitude, basically the attitude of the guy, or in this case the created, and then the encounter conditions. So obviously there was a score to settle, and this guy wants to make them suffer, or make the PC suffer, and as a result he has friends, and they're going to suffer too. And then, so over time it gives you little hints of things that happen that make things more gruesome, and the final stroke is when the mercenaries attack. So this guy actually does this whole big like cat and mouse thing to get inside their heads, which could be a lot of fun to play. But then there's the tactics. And the tactics are basically, the created has learned a few new tricks, over the years, and should the PCs go out, figure out who she is, he's prepared or she's prepared for that, and so on. Always has a surprise first round, and whoever is the most to blame for her fervor is attacked first. Those are her basic tactics. Now, all these red boxes throughout the book are basically tips for the game master. Now, scaling. Scaling's kind of neat because it teaches you how to scale down this particular event. And then there is the treasure, and it tells you basically how much treasure they should have. And then we'll turn the page. We'll take a little bit of a look at these bad to the bone peoples. Oops, I almost messed everything up. And we're going to look at first the created. So the created is, it's a basic stat block, saving throws, challenge, and then you have the different abilities. So best served cold. Creatures within 30 feet of the created have disadvantage on death saving throws. Nice. Implacable. The created has an advantage on all saving throws. Vengeful strikes. That's interesting. Vengeful strikes. The created's weapon attacks are magical and deal an additional 2d8 psychic damage. Ouch! And then escape. He can take a disengage or hide action as a bonus action. And then his actions, of course, would be multi-attack, longsword, javelin, or retribution's howl, which is the created lets out a howl of fury. Each enemy creature with a 30-foot cone makes a DC 16 Constitution save, taking 8d6 psychic damage. Interesting. And then there's reactions. Parry. And then there's his humanoid buddies, which are vengeful blades. They have roughly 84 hit points apiece, unless you want to roll them and try and get them better. Saving throws. They have sneak attack and escape. They have multi-attack, longsword, and longbows. And that pretty much sums that up. And that's the effect of how each one is laid out. You can have a lot of fun with a lot of these. Now we can go through and look at Grisek, the Orc Queen. She's kind of an interesting little part of the book. We have Mog the Troll, which is one of my favorite parts of the stories in the book, because he got his hands on a Ring of 3 Wishes and used it and is now immune to fire. And he controls a whole bunch of fire minions and uses it while he wrestles. Lord Sebastian, the Undead King. This is one of the ones I didn't read. I'm not a big Undead fan. I do like the art. And he is quite scary, actually. He has a ton of abilities and a ton of actions that he has capable things to do. Then we have Balig the Ravaged Worm, which you can imagine that the worm being for 13th to 16th level characters is a little bit drastic to fight against also. So these encounters scale all the way up to, like, I think 18th level was the highest one I saw. And then we have Kinnick the Debauched, which there's a lot to Kinnick here. There's a lot of lore, and then there's the tactics. The tactics are almost a full page of text, and that is, there you go, there's Kinnick the Debauched. Kinnick is a huge fiend demon with a lot of cool abilities. Kinnick has a prison that he can use once a day, which is basically a force cage. And then there's Colossus of Sharnex, which is a 18th level, 16th through 18th level excursion, but look at the size of him. And then we have Nezareth the Undying. So he's a different kind of villain, and that's actually how they open that up. He is so out there. His life began as an adventure. He amassed a cadre of friends, and then as time passed, his library grew. Eventually, he got stressed out, and he shut himself off from the world, and the town became baffled, and he basically turns into this guy. Smudge the hair. He turns into this guy, which is just a standard little humanoid. But if we back up and we take a look at this, this is for 18th to 20th level characters. He's pretty bad to the bone, dude. Now I'm going to leave that at that, and we're going to skip ahead to the what I call an index. It's not labeled as an index, and I wish they would have, because it doesn't need to be a chapter all to its own. But and I also wish, well, we'll talk about that in a minute. Minion tactics, and basically these are the different tactics for the different minions throughout the book. Everything from Azers to well, we'll get to the two in a second. So tactics for the Azers: heated body, where the attacks. Oh, for those of you that aren't familiar with what an Azer is, they're minions of fire giants. An Azer, he has a heated body where it attacks, inflicts 1d10 basically, additional fire damage. Leverages with their heated weapons to do an extra 3. Azers ignite flammable items within 5 feet of them. Make sure that you don't forget about that, because that can create some headaches in combat. And 4 Azers can effectively surround a group of PCs. And then there's non-combat resolution advice also. And then, I mean, the only other really couple of things in the book that are of great relevance, and it goes all the way out to a will-o-wisp as the minion tactics that they cover, are new creatures. And they have an unfettered familiar, which is really kind of neat because he has the ability to summon, master, claw, bite, multi-attack, master shield. When unfettered familiar is hit by an attack, it can transfer all of the damage to the wraith it summoned. I thought that was pretty neat. And then we have a living golem. This guy's kind of creepy, actually. I'm sorry, with my lighting, you kind of can't see that picture. Then we have an alchemist, not an alchemist, an alchemist. And then the last thing in the book, after you get through the new monsters, well, the last 2 things, is the NPCs. We have Jayla, the Thistlebriar. We have Fenton. And we have Danik Ironspawn. And then we have a page of 3 magic items. So what do I think about Masters and Minions? I think that, well, let's see. First, the price is $29.99. One, I have to thank JetPack 7 for giving this to me to review. It does not influence my opinion in any way. I think you're getting, for $29.99, you get, I don't know, roughly, you get 100 pages on the spot. Some people might say that's a little light. I don't. This is all original content. At least to the best of my knowledge. I mean, it might be based off of real folklore and things of that nature, but to the best of my knowledge, none of this has ever been printed before, so it's all original content, and it's high quality content. This cover is nice. I honestly don't. Not to bash them, but if Wizards of the Coast made their limited edition covers like this, I would probably buy their limited edition books. I bought Volo's Guide, I think it was the black, whatever it was, one of the black ones. And before I got it home, something brushed up against it and it smudged that coating. And I was very disappointed for the price I paid in the book. I don't think you're going to have that problem with this book. The pages are very thick. The first couple of times that I was using the book, I thought that I was turning 2 pages at a time. So it's heavy duty paper. Their approach to giving GMs a tool that they can use and apply is wonderful. I wish more books would give you tactics. It's something that as an early GM I used to struggle with. And I think this is a book that you can apply to whether you're using these stories and these minions or not, or these masters or not, you can apply to your regular GMing. And then, lastly, there are, well, it's not lastly, but every single master has a story that you can pretty much put into any of your games. Some of them are easier to do than others. And actually, you can build a campaign around some of these. Like, if you take the child, you can build a whole campaign series around that and level her up as you go, make her more powerful, and things of that nature. Now, what I would like to see, I would have liked to have seen the minions section and maybe even the magic item section and the NPC section listed as indexes. And at the bottom they put things down here like open gaming content. Well, they did it for everything. Open gaming content. Oh, minion tactics, and things like that. I know that their book is a little bit thin, but I would much rather see it on the sides here. So like the first part says maybe masters, and then minion tactics, and then not printed here, but up here, very much like they do for Pathfinder, so that I can look at this and be like, oh, minions are here. I'm there. That is one of the best things that I think Paizo does, is they put those little side index bars, the little colored sections on the side of the book, and it's wonderful. So thanks for watching, guys. This has been a flip-through review of Masters and Minions. Pick it up, man. It is a good book. The only other thing I would say about it is that it's primarily for GMs. This one has a small amount of content for players, if any. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later. Hi, guys. Meet the Nibbles, who's gonna go down. She just decided not to go down my back, so we'll do this for her so she's comfy. Thanks for watching my video, and I appreciate it. Please hit the like button and share it if you know somebody who might be interested. And of course, there's always Twitter and the Facebook thingy, and soon I have a newsletter coming. That'll be down there or in a link below, and my kitty cat loves that idea. So anyway, there was one more thing. Oh yeah, subscribe. Be a part of my community, our community. Let's make it grow together. See you guys at a con somewhere, or a local store, or if I'm driving through the country, maybe a game club. I don't know. You're not going to go knock down my camera. Bye, guys.